Well, hello and welcome back to the Tao Manifesting Tarot, the most unusual tarot reading on the planet. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. There are reasons for it. First of all, we don't do the fantasy stuff, the rainbows, lollipops, that sort of a reading. We don't do that kind of thing. We deal with what's going on geopolitically around the planet because that's essential, that's vital. In fact, we are in historic times. We are on the verge of something amazing. Well, maybe outstanding, maybe apocalyptic. Yeah, that's possible too. I mean, we're right there. We have never, ever, ever, ever been in our history standing right where we are. And in large part, it's because of us. It's not from some asteroid, although we could get that. It's not from some sunspot, although we could get that, or earthquakes or whatever. The real threat or potential is us. What do we do with it? So that's the reason I do the manifesting tarot, because your kryptonite, your God given kryptonite, is your ability to manifest, create the pictures in your head, not out of some AI device, not from some computer, desktop, laptop, or smartphone. Doesn't make any difference. It has to come from within you. That's getting more difficult. There have been several studies out over the past 20 years, and we're getting dumber. We're losing IQ points. We're really at a crossroads for several reasons. And the question is now, which way are we going to go? And so that's why I do the Tao Manifesting Tarot. I want you to manifest. I want you to focus. You do manifest, by the way, already, but it's usually negatively. I can't have this. I don't deserve this. I can't. I can't. You get nothing, and then you go, see, I can't manifest. Well, you're manifesting just negatively. We're going to try to switch that a little bit, and that's why I use tarot, which doesn't predict anything. I've done tarot for over 20 years, and from my experience, it doesn't predict anything, but it is the science of potential. It is the science of your frequency at that moment. You choose move forward or avoid. That's your free will. Here's the frequency, here's the energy. What are you going to do with it? You're going to make it your kryptonite, or you're going to pass? So I use tarot, been doing it for 20 years. I also do numerology and astrology. I've done each of those for 50 years. Those are science of cycles. Tarot, the science of potential. Numerology, astrology, the science of cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. So what I do is I use the astrology to talk about a given situation, a time period, an individual, whatever the case may be, and try to bring that energy signature up to the present. For example, 1776, America declared its independence. You had two planets in essentially the same positions they are right now. That is Pluto and Uranus. Pluto, evolution. Uranus, revolution. 250 years later, because it takes Pluto 250 years to go around our solar system, Uranus, Pluto match up again. In fact, they did so about a year or two ago. What have we been through since then? Pretty much the same energy signature of the American Revolution. In fact, you could argue logically that we are due for another American Revolution. We have our 250th birthday next summer, July 4th, 2026. I think it's appropriate to start thinking about evolution and revolution individually and collectively. That's going to be difficult because I don't think we're smart enough. I don't think we have enough courage. I think we're lazy. And I don't think we're going to do anything. And if you only understood how close we are to being locked down. Dystopian, 1984, Brave New World, pick your poison. We're real close. In fact, they're doing it already. They're doing it already. And so many people, I don't want to deal with it. It's too difficult. Wait till they put you in a pod and just keep you there till you die. Oh, they'll do some of the comfortable things. They'll make sure you have enough money to basically eat. It will be bugs, of course, and artificial butter and artificial whatever they want to give you because they're in control. We're that close. Between 2027, 2030, the new numerology and astrology says, look out. They're going to lay out all the cards on the table. Most of them are out there now, but people still not waking up. So what I want to do with the manifesting tarot thing is wake you up, get you to manifest. Today, we're focusing on find your center now. That's critical. Find the balance, because this is where you have to learn to get out of the panic mode, or as we call it, sympathetic mode. We want you in the parasympathetic. We want you in a mellower mode. Doesn't mean that you're not aware of what's going on, but it means that you're meditating. You're keeping your center, because when you are centered, when you are calm, you are doing your most creative stuff. You're thinking. You're not simply reacting. That's why they keep throwing shit at us like they do. Men and women, black and white and gay, and they're throwing shit at us. The wars, each one of them is just enough to take a little bit of your head so that you're not thinking about what's really going on. You want to know what's going on? Take a look at a company called Palantir. Palantir. Or something close to that. I think I left out the end, but you get the idea. Palantir. These are the people who are running your life right now, going to do more of it. You have to do your share to run your life. Find your center now. That is critical. That is essential. Also critical and essential. I have an email up now for people who want to make comments. Tao-tarot@proton.me. Tao-tarot@proton.me. One email. Please comment. Anything you want, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't make any difference, because it's one email. I keep up with it almost every day. Not perfect, but almost every day, and I will respond in kind. Tao-tarot@proton.me. So the thing for today is find your center, find your peace, breathe. Easiest way to center yourself. Just breathe. We don't breathe very much. We don't move very much. But this is the time that we need to move in all kinds of different directions. So I mentioned that I do tarot, numerology, and astrology. Numerology and astrology sets the table. The Tao is the meal. How about if we begin with setting the table? Let's do the astrology stuff. I've been doing this for the past couple of weeks. I've been focusing on something I call the conquest of America, because that's exactly what has been going on since, well, you could argue 1492, at least, if not farther back. But certainly when the Europeans, primarily the Spaniards, arrived in 1492, that's really what it was all been about, the conquest of America. The difference is, and not much of a difference, is that it's the banks that have led the conquest, not the military. Military has played soldier, has played cop for the banks, but it's the banks that have pushed the agenda. Everything that we have been through as a country has been orchestrated one way or another by the banking interests. And so I decided, how about if we talk about the conquest of America? Let's talk about the real conquest, how the bankers, world bankers, have set out to conquer the United States of America. So we've moved from 1700, when Adam Smith put a lipstick on a pig and called usury, charging people money for lending money, usury, which was really not looked at very, very favorably at all. And in fact, had Jewish bankers kicked out of over 200 countries over their existence. 1,000 times 200 countries kicked them out for usury. So in 1700, Adam Smith said, why don't we call it capitalism? Change the name, rebrand. And so they did. And no sooner is the revolution over than they try to establish the Bank of America, or I think it was the Bank of the United States. That was to control, just like the Bank of England. You wonder why Britain is always in the middle of all the shit going on in the world? That's because of the Rothschilds and their control of the Bank of England. They say, no, we don't own it. Well, they own enough of it to control it. And that's the important thing. In fact, Meyer Rothschild, head of the Rothschild Empire in 1803, said, "You can do what you want with government. Let me control the economy." He knew what the deal was. So let's go to 1835 to 1845. Big times, big times. In that 10-year period, we had the Mexican-American War. We got Texas and a little bit more. Westward expansion, all the cowboy movies. That's where it all kind of began. The invention of the telegraph, we began now to connect the country. We could communicate almost instantly. And of course, there was the California gold rush. Well, stop and think. Here you got Texas added. You got this westward expansion or energy. You invented the telegraph to tie all this stuff together. California gold. Ooh, very important times. So we look at the astrology. What do we have going? Well, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, air and fire signs. Very complementary. But those who have dealt with campfires know that if the fire starts to die out, one of the ways that you can perk it up again is blow on it. Give the fire air. So the Saturn, Neptune, Pluto stuff, all this energy, the Mexican-American War, the westward expansion, the telegraph, the gold rush, all of that is just Saturn, Neptune, Pluto in air and fire. And then we had Jupiter and Uranus in water signs. A lot of emotion. And Jupiter and Uranus together create big change. Big change. Which, of course, all those things I mentioned, Texas, westward expansion, telegraph, gold rush, tell me. Oh, there was even early stages of women's suffrage as well in this time period. Huge energy moving forward. But the emotion is what runs it. The Jupiter, Uranus, and water signs, that's what runs it. And we we hit a tidal wave, so to speak, keep the water idea going. And we were not prepared for it. But we'll talk about it as we move farther into the conquest of America. How about if we do the meme for today? One of the big things that happened during this time period was the blocking of the Rothschild bankers. What happened was Andrew Jackson stopped or terminated the Bank of the United States after its second term. Each term was 20 years. He stopped them and got rid of all the Rothschild bankers out of his administration, which is more than you can say for the current administration in Washington. And Andrew Jackson made it very plain. I want to end the Fed. It wasn't called the Fed. It was the United States, the Bank of the United States. But that's what the Fed grew from. The first and second Bank of the United States, stopped by Andrew Jackson. By the way, they tried to kill him. They failed. They tried to assassinate him, and they failed. And Jackson said, it's either them or me. And for short term, it was him. But it brought something to our understanding. Did we do anything about it? Hell no, that's not the American way. So we continue with the missing link. Top part says, when the second bank ended, it was thwarted by Andrew Jackson, who actively opposed the bank, removed the Rothschild link individuals from his administration. They attempted to assassinate him. They failed, but they went after Lincoln because he resisted the central bank. I know they bring up this stuff about slavery. Bullshit. It had nothing to do with slavery. It was already on the way out. They were moving towards ending that whole situation. It was because, just like Jackson, Abraham Lincoln pissed off the money people. Just in this time period, we had the Panic of 1837, very severe economic depression in the country. And it was all because of the failures of the state bank, the second state bank. Got the state banks all bundled up. The rich people took more profits, wages and prices dropped, high unemployment. That's why Jackson did not like the United States Bank and why he fought against it. Same thing we're going through right now. Take a look at the unemployment rate. Take a look at people who can't afford homes. Take a look at people who've lost their jobs. Take a look at what's happening to the middle class and the poor. It's the same thing as the Panic of 1837, and for exactly the same reason. Let's move on to the tarot. Two of Swords. Twos always mean decisions. Swords are thoughts, ideas, thinking. And you see here, her arms are right across her chest. She's not thinking anymore. She's not feeling anymore. She doesn't want to see. This is the American public right now. I don't want to know. 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 You got to stand up. At some point, you are within yourself in a stalemate. You're avoiding the truth. You know what the hell it is. You know you're getting screwed. You're even paying for the lubricant if they choose to use it. And it doesn't stop. It doesn't wake up. And the clock is ticking. Told you about Palantir. Told you about the, some company calls you up and says, hey, you can just pick up this product, this book, this whatever the hell it is. All we need is your email and your name. That's all they want. Data. Because now they can use it against you. Next card over, Knight of Pentacles. Knights always bring gifts. Knight of Pentacles is bringing you a set of values. After the Two of Swords, once you can get past blinding yourself to the truth, now you begin to be able to work on a good value system. What's important? Is it a new car? Is it a new home? Is it more shoes? Is it more? Or how about love, joy, happiness, health? How about peace? Those are the real pentacles. Those are the real values. Those are what we have to go after. We have to be responsible for ourselves, just like the Hierophant. We have to educate ourselves. We have to change our belief system. We have been lied to about everything. James Casey was the head of the CIA back in the 80s, said, we'll know when our job is done when everything Americans believe is a lie. Head of the CIA says, we know we will have done our job when everything Americans believe is a lie. That's where they're at right now. And that goes back to the Two of Swords. Pull your head out of your keister. Start to face reality. Quit avoiding the truth. Get practical, get realistic, get solid. Change the way you think and feel. That is the only hope. Time is up for right now. Thanks so much. I appreciate that we have the chance to enjoy it. I know the message is hard and heavy for many, but if you take a look around you, these are hard and heavy times. Historic, and not in a good way. Hey, remember to like and subscribe. I need your help. In fact, all the podcasters do, because, man, there's stuff going on. Yesterday, a whole bunch of us complained that we were not getting videos on the major platforms. Well, we can't pick up the video. We can't. Why? Why? All of them? Just videos? Something's up. So between now and the next time you and I get to do Manifesting Tower together, peace and blessings.